All right, what's going on, everyone? Hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend. All right, guys, we're going to get right to it. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ron Wilkerson. I'm a photographer in the city of Houston. I do a little bit of video work as well. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about exactly how I set up my Wacom tablet. I have the Intuos Pro Medium, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I set that up for Final Cut. Yes, Final Cut. I know for a lot of us, the reason why, as photographers, we buy a graphics tablet is to edit photos. But today, with today's social media, a lot of us are doing, both jobs. We're creating content as far as still images as well as video. And I do the same for my clients. So anything that's going to speed up my workflow is going to be a benefit, in my studio setting. So give you guys a real quick look at exactly what I have set up here. All right, guys, so this is exactly how I have everything set up in my home studio. And if you're looking at this funny looking glove, stick around. I'm going to be giving a couple of these away. All right, guys, so what I have set up here is my iPad for switching, as far as switching my live feeds and things like that when I'm going live or whatever I would use it for. Sometimes I use this iPad as a second or third monitor. I have the Rodecaster Pro, which I have above it for my audio. And I also have it's a relatively older version of the Apple keyboard. Then we have the MacBook Air. This is the 1 terabyte version with the 16 gig of RAM. And then right here, we have the new Wacom tablet. Now, as I said, this is the medium tablet. So this one gives me the 8 function keys as well as the wheel, for different features that I may want to utilize. As far as features going for this tablet, I don't really utilize a lot of the touch ring features. For the most part, I'm using some of these keys that I would use on a regular basis. But if I'm working in an environment where I'm in the studio and I have access to a keyboard and I have access to additional monitors, like there's a much larger 27-inch monitor over in this direction. Then I also have the monitor from the MacBook Air. I'm pretty set. And then, like I said, I can always throw Photoshop or Final Cut's video feed over to this tablet as well. So that gives me, 3-4 different monitors, not counting the one that's off to the side here that I don't use too often. All right, guys, so we're going to get right into it. We're going to open up Final Cut, and we're going to take a look at exactly how I have everything set up. So let's jump over to Final Cut. All right, so this is my normal setup for Final Cut. So if I'm running Final Cut, I would normally have my scopes up, I would have my viewer up, as well as my timeline, and then my audio here on the side. So this would give me the opportunity to be able to utilize the majority of the space if, and that's a big if I'm only using the MacBook Air and I'm on location. So this would be my primary monitor, and then the Wacom tablet would possibly be with me on location that I would be using for retouching or for some other, reason I would be using the tablet, for whatever features I would use it for. But most of those would be in Photoshop and not in Final Cut. Or I would be in, Capture One, where I would be doing my tether shooting before we even get to the Photoshop, stage of things. All right, so let's take a look really quick here. Let me turn this tablet on. And it should come on pretty quickly here. All right, so the tablet is on. I do have touch turned off. But for programs like Final Cut, the touch being on can be a benefit because it does give you the ability to, pinch in and zoom out and things like that. But for the most part, I just use the key commands, for a lot of the functions that I use in Final Cut. So let's go over to the Wacom Control Center. And let's open that. And we're going to look at exactly what I have set up for Final Cut itself. So let's move this off to the side here. And so we want to go to our Express keys. And let's just move it here so we can see what's going on. Okay, so the general settings are the exact same settings as that, you get when you first buy one of these tablets, whatever comes out of the box. The Wacom Desktop Center is number 1, settings number 2, precision modes number 3, display toggle is number 4, and then to the lower 4, I have modifiers are set up for shift, command, option, and then pan and scroll. Now, if I go over to Photoshop, the way I have it set up is my first one is upper layer. My second key is down layer. So that's up and down layers. That allows me to kind of like, go up and down the layer stack when I'm in Photoshop. The radio menu is to pull up additional tools that I may use, in Photoshop or something like that. And then I also have Photoshop Draw set up here, which pulls up a number of Photoshop related keystrokes that are already built into a panel. And then the lower keys are the ones that I use the most often, and that's going to be undo, redo. And then I have a keystroke here for stamp layer. And then the very bottom one is to center the photo. So if I'm zoomed in, like if I'm doing some dodging and burning or frequency separation or something like that, and I've gotten a little bit close in, I can just hit that one button and it'll zoom everything right back out. And as far as the touch ring goes, for that, it's pretty much the same, so it's the auto scroll for, the first option. I haven't really changed anything. Everything else is pretty much here the same, so number 2 is cycle layers. Number 4 down here is brush size, and number, I guess this would be 2 if you're looking at it from, up and down or however you want to look at it. So let's say, this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So number 2 down here would be rotate. Number 3 off to the right would be, the cycle layers. And then the very bottom option would be brush size. That's what's set up in Photoshop. But now if we go over to Final Cut, I've set up things completely different. So what I have here on my very first key is undo. And then the second key I have set up is redo. The third key I have set up for loop. So if I select a specific part of the video and I want to loop that video because I'm listening to the audio or I'm looking for an effect and I want to see exactly how that effect is going to apply to that portion of the video, then I can just hit this one key and it's just going to loop the video. The fourth key is paste. So basically, let's look at the keystroke for that. So the keystroke for that is Shift Command V, which is to copy attributes from one clip to another. So for instance, if I've done all of my editing on one clip and color grading and what have you, then I can copy all of those attributes and then apply those to additional clips down line. So I would just hit that one key, and once selecting those clips, then I could just hit this one key and then hit apply, and then from there I can select which of the attributes I want to carry on to the other clips. Okay, so the fifth key is for audio. And what this allows me to do is to step up or step down on the audio. So if we go into the keystroke, so that is Command Option G. And what that does is it allows me to go up and down on the audio. And the next one below that is playback. And let's look at the keystroke for that in case you guys want to know what it is. It is Command R. And that just, repeats. Okay, and then number 7, this will capture a still frame. So for wherever I am in the clip, I can just hit this one key and it'll just capture a still frame. And then the very last one here is Command Z, if I'm not mistaken, which will bring, yeah, it is Command Z. I'm sorry, Shift Z. And what that'll do is it'll just, bring the timeline, to a point where I can see the entire timeline at one time. Now, if we go into the ring, the touch ring, again, I haven't done very much here. Everything is pretty much the same. Then the next thing over is going to be display toggle, and then all of your different controls. And what I mentioned before was like the radio menu. You can go into the radio menu and you can choose all these different things that will pop up if you assign this to one of your keys or to another function on the tablet. So in a lot of ways, it just gives you the opportunity to have all of the things that you would normally have at your fingertips, in the same tablet that you're working for your retouching or something like that. Now, as far as the pen goes, under Final Cut, I haven't really done anything. So if you see here, I have it set up for Photoshop. So the pen settings are pretty much the same as I would use them for this, for all other apps. But you can go in if you wanted to, and you could choose Final Cut as an example, and then you could go in and make whatever choices you want to for your pen sensitivity. So you can also you can adjust the tip feel. You're not going to get the same kind of pen or tip sensitivity or pen sensitivity that you're going to get in Photoshop. I'm just relating that to how you're scrolling around the screen or something like that. So eraser is still eraser, and then I have my mapping set up to the smaller monitor, which is to this MacBook Air that I have set up here. So we'll just go back over to Final Cut real quick. And if we're looking at, this timeline, and say, for instance, I wanted to get a still frame. So if we go back and we look at exactly which of the keys that we set up for still frame, and we can see under Final Cut, that was set to the 7th key. So that's just frame. So now we go back over to Final Cut, and we're on that clip. So I hit that key. As you see there, it has created a still frame. And no matter where I am on the timeline, it's going to create that still frame. So it doesn't really matter, even if I'm just kind of scrolling along. I'll show you guys what I mean. So even if I'm, if I just have the mouse, the pencil in my hand, and I'm just kind of like skimming along the line, and I go, oh wow, I'd really like a freeze frame right here. I could just hit that 7, boom, there it is, and there's my freeze frame. And then I can pick that up, I can move it somewhere, I can do whatever I want with it. No different than, using any other pencil controls or the touchpad on the MacBook or a mouse if you were using that, for instance, So most of the things that we're going to use here, like I said, will give you those flexibilities, those tools that you can use. So like scrolling or something like that. Let's say if we go to the viewer itself, and it's layers, brush, rotate. So auto scroll, none of those are really going to do anything in here because I haven't set them up for anything. But you could set them up, to scroll the timeline or to, skim the timeline or something like that. So that's totally up to you as to, how you'll utilize this. But as far as precision goes, if you're going to be masking, as an example, so if you're coming in here and you're going to be setting up, you're doing some type of masking. Okay, for some reason it doesn't want to pop up. Okay, so let's go under effects. So if we were, creating a mask around her and we were going to cut her out or something like that, then yes, the pencil will give you a little bit more control, especially if you set one of these to precision, where you can really control and zoom in there and just, really draw out your mask or something along those lines. But like I said, with many of these tools, it's just a matter of finding what best works for you. Now, if you're really curious about Final Cut, you can come over here to Commands and then Customize. And then you will see all of the commands that are available to you. So you can go up here to Default, you can import, or you can duplicate your commands, or you can just kind of leave them as they sit. But the advantage here is, let's just see if we can make this a little bit bigger. The advantage is here, you can go in and you can look at all the different commands that are already associated with the different portions of the application. And there are quite a few of them, trust me. You could spend hours just looking at these commands and figuring out, what works for you. But over here to the left, you have editing, and you have all of the different commands that you would have related to editing. And you can go in and, make those selections as well. And of course, you could always add that to your tablet or, whatever it is that you're using to edit. So here's your effects, general, masking, orientation, playback and navigation, share. Here's your tools, view, and windows. So, many times, Windows is one of the ones that we use a lot, in Photoshop, I'm sorry, in Final Cut, where you're going between your inspector and your browser and, just any number of ways that you're editing images. So, it just depends on how you want to set this up. What's going to make your workflow that much faster. So whether you're jumping between panels or you're in your library or you're looking at, different, title effects that you may want to put in here or generators, whatever it may be, you can just really get to it relatively quickly, using a pen and tablet. And it just becomes very, very natural. I'm telling you, it's just a very natural feel, as you're moving around the screen and you're, going from one area to the other, to the top of the screen, to the very bottom of the screen, or whatever it is that you're looking at, it just has a very natural flow to it. So, I can't tell you guys, to go and invest in something like this, obviously if it's not something that you can afford. But from what I have experienced personally, I have worked with a number of these different tablets, including the iPad, as you see here. And the Wacom tablets for me has been one of the best tablets that I've used thus far. And if you've been watching my videos, you've noticed that I've gone through the first Intuos, which was the small, I think it was, Bluetooth. And then from there, I went to the Intuos Pro Small, which I think was just too small. And then I went to the medium. So this is pretty much where I'm going to sit, because I think this is the good, happy medium for something that I can use in studio as well as on location. And it's still about the right size that I feel like it fits evenly, into my workflow. As you see, it's not much larger than the MacBook Air. It's a little bit larger than the iPad, but for what it's worth, if I'm traveling, it would be relatively easy for me to combine, these three items if I wanted to carry all three of them, or if I'm just carrying the MacBook and the tablet and a pen, I'm good to go, because the most important things that I'm going to be carrying is going to be, obviously, cameras, lenses, additional lighting, things like that. So, especially when you're working on location, you want your carry-all to be as small as possible. Okay. So like I said, guys, I'm going to be doing a little giveaway. So let me jump down to this screen here, put this pen away. So I got one of these drawing gloves, and I really didn't think I was going to like it, but I got one anyway. So here's my little drawing glove. Now, I'm one of those people that I love for everything to be in its place and everything to be neat. So I can't stand fingerprints and stuff like that on my devices. The iPad is like a fingerprint magnet, so I'm constantly cleaning this thing. So I felt this would be something that would work out really well for me. So when I'm retouching or whatever it is, and I can just kind of slide around the tablet without worrying about leaving, greasy handprints or fingerprints or something like that, it just keeps it pristine, a little bit longer than, maybe it would naturally be, over a normal work environment, because if you're a working photographer or, a content creator, you're going to put a lot of wear and tear on these devices. So you want them to last as long as possible because it is a worthwhile investment. Okay. So I purchased this glove from Amazon, and it wasn't very expensive. I mean, it was very inexpensive. But what was cool about it was they sent me a number of these gloves, right? So let me take a look. Grab over here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 of these gloves that I'll be giving away. So if you watch this video, whether you find it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever it may be, and you say, hey, I'd like to be entered to win one of these gloves, you're more than welcome to, just say, hey, give me a glove or something like that, or comment on the video, and especially if you're following me, you got a better chance of winning. So what I have here, just so everyone's aware, size-wise, I have 2 mediums, 1 small, and 2 larges. So that's going to be the, the bulk of the giveaway. So I'm going to give away, obviously, the different colors, supply, demand, it's one of those kind of scenarios. So whoever wins first gets to make the first selection, and whatever's left, that's what's left. But if nothing else, hey guys, they're free, and I'm giving them away. So, it's just my way of giving back to you guys. And, hopefully it'll be something that you would enjoy as much as I'm finding that it's become, just a part of my normal workflow. I just throw this thing on and I just, start retouching or, whatever it is I'm working on. So I don't really give it a lot of thought. It is what it is. So like I said, if you guys want to take a chance, you want to try and win one of these, it's not very difficult. All you got to do is comment on the video and, share and like, that will help out this channel a lot. And that will increase the possibility of me being able to give much better gifts away in the near future. All right, guys. All right, so I'm going to bring this live to an end. Hopefully everyone had an amazing weekend. And I'm getting ready to go and make some dinner. Yes, dinner time. You know how we do it. All right, guys, so stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. And get out there and create something amazing. And share it. Post those links on social media so that I can see them. Hit me up on Facebook, on Instagram, here on YouTube, and I'd be more than happy to take a look at, some of the things that you guys are working on as well. All right, so stay safe. I see you guys in the next live. Until then, peace. I'm out.